Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Fernando and
Fernando
Freddie
and
Show.
Freddy show.
I'm Fernando.
And I'm Freddy.
All right, you guys. So today we're going to talk to you guys about something kind of important here in California. And I say Uber here, but it's all rideshare companies. So will Uber shut down in California? Are they going to have to cease their operations tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Well, it would actually be Friday. They would shut down Friday, but the order says that they have to comply by tomorrow. So if they don't comply by tomorrow, well, will they shut down Friday? What's going to happen? So
Wait, so what's happening
this
though?
is this is in California. So all right. So you guys, yesterday I received a push notification on my phone from the Uber app, and it said Uber may suspend service in California. So I'm like, what is all this about? So if you guys aren't really familiar, rideshare companies have really taken over by storm. Just taxi companies, they've put them down and taken over. So you open the app, you click go, and you get a car. It comes and picks you up, takes you wherever you need to go. It's all through the app. You pay through the app. It finds you through the app. But these drivers are considered independent contractors. So they're given a 1099 and they don't really have a lot of liabilities through these rideshare companies, the main ones like Uber and Lyft, right? So
Mhm.
California says, no, 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 no. These people that are working for you are your employees. They're not independent contractors. Uber has a lot of problems about it, saying all this different stuff, trying to fight it. But at the end of the day, California is ordering Uber to reclassify these drivers as employees. So last year, California Governor Newsom signed a bill, Assembly Bill 5, which went into effect on January 1st, essentially saying people who use independent contractors as their employee for a gig work type thing have to reclassify that independent contractor to an employee. Uber and Lyft have really gone out of their way to kind of be like, no, 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 we're just a tech platform. We're not using these people. These people are just using our platform and doing their own thing. California is fighting them very, very hard. And a Supreme Court judge in San Francisco sued these rideshare companies, saying Thursday, which is tomorrow, the 20th, you have to
Mhm.
comply. You have to reclassify your independent contractors as employees, or you must cease your operations in the state of
But
California.
that's just weird that they are employees. They literally work for the company. I don't understand how they're like, no, 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 they're independent contractors.
Well, that's the problem though, is because like as an employee, you work for your company, right? So like say I work for Taco Bell, right? I'm an employee for Taco Bell. The main
Mhm.
thing that I'm going to be getting is a schedule, Hey, you're going to come in on Monday through Friday, you're going to be working, noon to 5 p.m. 5 hour days, right? 5 days a week. That's 25 hours. Well, the thing about Uber, which so many people love, is you get to make your own hours. It's extremely flexible. And when you do that, you get to essentially work as much or as little as you want. So without getting into the specifics, with Uber, you can drive 12 hours and then they make you take a couple hour break and then you can go back and you drive some more, and that's just for your safety and for your passenger safety, right? But
Mhm.
if I were to work for a company and I were to go in and I were to work 12 hours, well, laws pretty much say, well, you can only work 8 hours. Anything over that, you're going to have overtime. So I think that if these Uber is to reclassify these people as employees, well, how are they going to keep working the hours that they're working? And I think
But
that
they
it's going to
shouldn't.
affect.
It's sad that we allow like this, like people to be abused and taken advantage of. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar company,
I don't think that
and his
it's
poor
necessarily being used or taken advantage of.
you
I
are being
mean,
taken advantage of. If you're not respecting the law that everyone else has to respect, then you're taking advantage of people.
which law is
There should
that
be
though?
no exception. Well, like that, they don't want to, pay people overtime or watch the hours that they're working, and a lot
But
of them
that's
complain
kind
about
of
really bad conditions of like sexual harassment, and you know, there's so many lawsuits when you look online in the past few years.
Right, but how is that Uber's fault that a passenger, harasses a driver?
Well, that isn't their fault, but well, actually, no, it can be because if they've been reported and they're still allowed to use the application, then that is directly the company's fault.
I don't think that
If I
once somebody is reported for, like, say, like, if I'm inside of an Uber and I harass or I sexually harass my driver, and if they report me, I don't think that I'm going to be able to be a passenger in that platform anymore.
but then they've had those problems with it. So obviously, maybe now, not now, but before, yeah, they've had people. I mean, I remember I watched this video where this guy started screaming. The driver actually was screaming at the lady to get out of the car, and he's just like, "I don't want to do the ride," and she's like, "But I'm in the middle of nowhere," and he's like, "That's not my problem." You know,
Oh, I,
I
I
mean,
thought we were
so
going to get into the one about how the passenger was the Taco Bell CEO. Never mind, different story.
oh yeah, that one
Right.
too.
As I use my example of Taco Bell. But going back real quick and just talking about, hour wise and, people being taken advantage of, I don't think that it's necessarily being taken advantage of because if I want to work more than 8 hours driving Uber, like say I work Monday through Friday at a regular desk job, right? Well, Saturday
Mhm.
comes and I need to make some money. So if I want to go out and I'm going to say, you know what? Saturday, I'm going to work 12-hour day. I'm going to work, all night long and I'm going to make some money. Everyone, this is pre-coronavirus. Everyone's out at the bars and the clubs. It's going to be a busy night, and I know I can make some good money. Well, if I go out there to do that, that's on me. Like no one's forcing me to do it, and Uber is giving me the opportunity to make that extra money to go out there and actually
No,
get the money.
but I feel like that still it's a dangerous situation because you could be tired. I mean, you're literally when you're in a car, you're driving with someone's life in your hands because you can do something that could kill you both,
Well, this
literally.
isn't talking about being dangerous or someone being tired. You were saying that the
No, but
worker is
but you've
being
already like you're
abused.
just saying right now you're working another job and you want to make extra money. So now
Right.
you're like, okay, I'll drive Uber. So you could theoretically be tired after working another job and be
Right, but
like,
we're
okay,
talking
I'm
about
gonna.
this is Saturday. This is a whole other day. Like I worked my Monday through
People
Friday
work
at
on
my desk job,
Saturdays. What?
but I
Not just
told
you.
you
I'm
the scenario.
in
My
general.
scenario was I work at a desk job Monday through Friday, and it's Saturday the next day,
Hmm.
and I decide that I want to, work 12 hours that day, a full day, and just make some money. So
Okay.
why should, Uber's gonna say, okay, well, what, you can come in and you can work 8 hours, on this day, but you're an employee now, so you're obligated. So you tell us you're gonna work on this Saturday. We're gonna schedule you 2 weeks in advance. You got to come in and you're gonna work from noon to 8 p.m. and that's your day. Well, what if I
Okay.
didn't want to work noon to 8 p.m.? What if I wanted to work 11 p.m. on because that's when people are going out to the bars. That's when you're gonna make more money.
Well, that's assuming that they're going to do scheduling, but I mean, I imagine they would ask you what your schedule permits them to let you work. So I don't necessarily think that's a very that's not a workable example because you could easily do the schedule you wanted because maybe you Saturday maybe you have things you have to do during the daytime though.
But if you're an employee with Uber, well, what's stopping them from forcing you to work on these days because, or these
They're not
hours?
forcing.
Well, if you're an
They're just gonna.
employee,
Yeah, but it's like being a server. I mean, you don't really have a set schedule. It depends on the demand, the availability. I mean, they can always change it. I mean, have you never worked a schedule that was fluctuating, day to day?
no, if I've ever worked a job with an actual schedule, it's been pretty set.
Even when you worked in retail?
Yeah, of course.
Oh wow, no. All
Like
my
they would
jobs
give
have
us our
always been
schedule
like,
weeks in advance.
yeah, but then, well, yeah, they give it to you weeks in advance. But I'm meaning the schedule itself could be very day to day. Like one day you might work mornings, you might close the next day, you might work a
Oh, okay.
middle,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like that. That's what I mean. So it could be they can really schedule around your own schedule, and you could tell them in advance, no, can't work this day, can't work before this time, and they
Right.
can. I
Well,
mean, with
if you're an employee, then they're gonna be able to pick and choose who they want to work for them. So if you have this messy schedule, they're gonna say, oh, you know what, these aren't our busy times, or oh, we have enough drivers at this time. We're good. We don't need you. What's stopping them from doing that? Because another
and
problem too.
what's that's not a problem though. That's their right as a business. I mean, that's the same as any other business
Well,
that has employees.
right. But then that's the bad part for the actual driver because that driver then might say, well, these are the hours that I wanted to work. These are the hours that I'm free. So what if, You guys have, 20 other people in this area working.
But it's called at will employment. You can always find another job.
But how
Uber
many
doesn't owe
other
you a job.
Right, but if you're not an employee, you're still working and you're still making the money. So that's the big difference between being an independent contractor and an employee for this type of a company. It's not saying that they owe you a job, it's saying that you already have the job right now. You already have the access to their
That
platform
example
and to
makes
make
no
money.
sense, though, Fernando.
Why not? All I'm
Because even
saying
as an
is that
independent contractor, they can still tell you we don't want you to work.
no, they've never done that. They don't do that.
But they can. They have
But
the
they don't.
availability. Yes, but it's the same as your other example. They can just say no,
It's a big
that won't be
difference.
happening. It's not a big difference. It's the same
No, it
thing.
is. Because
It
with
is.
Uber,
I've been a contract employee and then at will, and I've done every type
right.
of employment, and they can always, regardless of the job, you can always, at least in California, you can always be fired, you can always be replaced, you can always, they can always ask you to do something, you can always say no. I mean, it
Right.
doesn't really
But
factor in
well, we're
if
talking
there's
about
the
Uber.
need.
We're not talking about any other type of job as being a server or any other,
No, no, I'm talking about.
employment.
I'm not even talking about in like that. But I'm saying you're talking about being a contract employee or
I'm
at
independent
will employee
contractor
or
for
independent
a rideshare
contractor.
company. For a rideshare
Yes,
company.
but that
So
doesn't really change anything. It's just
it changes a
mainly
lot. It changes a
no.
lot because you're making your own business, you're driving your own car, you're picking up your passengers, and you're driving and working when you want to work. A lot of other independent contractors might be like a pool
So
man
you're actually
or
in
a
favor of
gardener.
that because that makes you liable for any of the problems that could arise when you're
Like
driving the
what kind of
car.
problem?
Well, if you're an independent contractor and you're essentially your own business, a little LLC, let's say you get into an accident, then they
Well,
can just
stop right
shift the
there.
blame.
Stop right there. So when you're an independent contractor, you're not an LLC. So you're
No,
not
no, I'm
working
just
as an
saying.
LLC.
Okay,
Like
well,
for
sorry,
Uber,
but you
you're
you can set up your own LLC if you're an independent contractor, which is actually the
okay.
smarter thing to do because you have better tax advantages. But that's a whole different conversation. But okay, so as an independent contractor, you're not doing anything special, which is a disadvantage to you tax wise. But you're driving around, and let's say that they do say, well, no, it's not our problem, he's an independent contractor, we don't insure the cars, he is supposed to insure himself. And then your car insurance is like, but wait a minute, you're not a commercial driver registered with us, you're just a normal driver, so we're not going to cover everything because in driving commercially, like even taking a package from one place to another place is literally a commercial driver,
Okay.
even if
So
it's
stop right
delivering
there,
for
real
your
quick.
place of work.
So there's a lot of things that are going into it that you're kind of not covering or accounting for. So when you drive for Uber, there's a lot of different things that they discuss, and you actually have to accept their terms of use. But they do have a very
That
large
doesn't make
insurance policy,
I know, but that
and
doesn't make sure. Okay, go ahead.
and when you are an Uber driver, you are supposed to notify your insurance company, and there are special policies for rideshare drivers. So in
Okay, tell me
California,
this:
at
do they
least,
do they verify that you've done it?
no, they
Do
don't.
they say you can't? Yeah. So then again,
But at the same
that's the
time,
problem.
they
They don't verify
carry.
they do it, and if you did get into an accident, then who does the risk fall onto? They can just say, well, he was supposed to register as a commercial driver, but he didn't. But it's like you guys didn't verify it. That's why they
Well,
changed the
that's like
law.
me being a driver on the street, driving down the street without regular insurance and getting an accident. Oops, yeah, I was supposed to get insurance, but I never did.
Well, no, if you're a driver for a company, are you an independent contractor or are you driving for the company? Because if you're driving for the company's probably going to already have insured the car that you're driving,
And you're also going
like
to be driving the
UPS.
company's car.
And what's wrong with that?
Well, how is Uber going to supply how many cars are on the street right now? How many people right now are driving for Uber in their own personal car? So, how many
But they
cars is
is
Uber going to have to provide?
well, that's a different thing because you can't compare the two. If you're saying if I'm a driver for another company, normally other companies will they give you the choice of will pay you the mileage on your car for your usage, or you use the company car and you don't get the mileage.
Right. But so how is that company's insurance going to cover your personal car then?
Well, if they have a commercial policy, then they're going to cover you then. Like when I've
Okay.
worked at
Well,
other places, they have to give them my license, registration, all that stuff, and then they do it for
right.
me.
But Uber
They
does the same
register me
thing.
under their.
Uber
They
has
do.
a yeah, they have a very large insurance policy that covers all of it. So whatever your insurance doesn't cover, their insurance is going to cover as well, and it's a multi-million-dollar policy. So I mean, with all of that, like we're not talking about like if you get into an accident, you know. I mean, yeah, if you get into an accident, you get into an accident. But all of these different insurances and different things like that, they, you know, have in place. But I'm talking more along the lines of, you know, the people wanting to drive as much or as little as they want on their own terms, rather than being a full-fledged employee and having to follow all of Uber's rules, times, everything that
But
they
that should
want you
actually
to do.
change nothing, though. That
Why?
should literally change nothing because you could still do it. They would just have to pay you for your overtime.
But why would they pay you for your overtime when they have thousands of drivers on the road? There would be no need for them to do that. And
Well, then,
right now, the less drivers that are on the road, it's better for Uber anyways, because, and for the driver, because then they have surge prices. The prices go up. It's supply and demand. So if there's less drivers on the road, the passenger is going to pay a higher premium to get a driver. Uber is going to make more money, and so is the driver right now, you know, with the way that the platform is set up. But, you know, if, you know, there's so
I
many more
disagree
drivers
with
on
that because you're the driver is at the disadvantage in that situation. And as a
Why is
driver,
that?
I don't understand why you would prefer to be at the disadvantage.
How are they at a
Because
disadvantage?
because you have more things that you have to take care of as an independent contractor than you do as an employee.
Right, but you're going to make
You're
more
supposed
money
to-
as an independent contractor than you are as
Not
an employee.
necessarily. Are they
Okay,
paying
well-
you? Well, I don't know how much they're paying you. I'd have to ask you directly, but because I'm just thinking
Well,
of
Uber's not paying
this
me
is where
anything.
no, but I'm just saying like, well, then why are we having this conversation?
Because it's a very important conversation to have, because so many people rely on rideshare companies, people who don't have cars, or, you know, people who have to go to different places. So it's a really big
But
conversation
Fernando,
to have.
what did people do before Uber? They used taxis. Taxis
They
still
did.
exist. There are a
But
lot of
the
countries
problem
that
is-
banned Uber, or they only let Uber use actually registered taxis to use Uber. So you still could use Uber, but you had to literally use a city taxi. So when you use the app, it would call a city, and they had all the same benefits that a taxi driver has at the Uber price. So I mean,
but-
it can work both ways. It's just like, you know, when people say the same thing, oh, they can't pay people this much money in America because the food would be too expensive, blah blah blah. And then you go to Europe, and that person who's doing the same job as the minimum wage person in the U.S. at 7 is making 15 to 20.
And the food's more
So-
expensive.
Not necessarily that much more though.
But go back real quick to what you said. What did you do before Uber? Yes, you took taxi cabs, but
Yeah.
Uber has essentially knocked out a lot of taxi drivers. So a lot of taxi
Yeah,
drivers.
but they used crooked practices to do that. It wasn't exactly well. It wasn't illegal at all. They used apps to hide the fact that they were doing it in many
So
places.
going back to that real quick too, these taxi cab drivers are making an hourly rate, an hourly wage, right? And in
Not
addition
always.
to their, well then what? Do
Some
they
of
get
them were
commission?
doing per. It was it was like Uber. It was like a per ride thing.
Oh, because when I looked into taxi cabs, it was all hourly, and they had daily guarantees as well. But it was all hourly.
What place though? It's different state to state.
Oh,
City to
California.
city.
I'm only looking at California.
Oh, okay.
But
Because
it
you have
was
to look at the
actually
ones in
in-
New York where you had to buy an actual they did it like by districts. You had to buy that district's area, and then you could go there, and then you had so many, you know. But it was expensive because you had to buy the license for it.
Okay. But no, okay, I'm talking about here in California. But so your driver, say we're in California, say the taxi driver is going to pay by the hour. I've never had a good experience in a taxi cab, a plain yellow cab. Never once had a good experience.
Why
Your
not?
driver was what?
Why?
Your drivers are always rude. They always expect a tip, and they never have change.
But that's Uber too. Uber always expects a tip,
No,
and
they
now they
don't.
rate you. Yes, they do. When
Uber never
well,
expected a tip.
I
And in fact,
isn't it,
was
included in the
even-
price? Can I tell you
No,
the
it
most
would-
expensive taxi ride I've ever taken was an Uber
Really?
to literally go, yeah, $100
Well, you
to
have
go
to
like
consider
5.
too. Why didn't you call a taxi cab then?
It was a different country, but I couldn't. where
But
it
what you have
was and
to
with the
what you have to consider too, though, is its supply and demand. So that same trip, if it
yeah.
would have been less,
But they can
demand.
manipulate that system. That's the problem. Is there's no verifying that surge requirement. I mean, because if that was the case, I mean, we would know. Okay, there's surge pricing
Excuse
from this time to this time. Oops. What's happening? Is it the ghost of Christmas past?
What happened?
I said, is it the ghost of Christmas past with the chains?
Maybe.
Ebenezer Fernando. Well, this has
Um,
been real. You guys have to let us know what you think. Do you agree, disagree?
Wait, I didn't get to finish what I was telling you.
Fernando, I've got to go. It's 21 minutes in and I said 10 minutes.
All right. Okay, you guys. Thanks for joining us. This has been another episode of the Fernando and Freddie Show. We're going to continue this because I have
We
a
will.
lot more to discuss.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thanks for joining us. Also, you guys, check out our blog. It's fernandoandfreddyshow.com. I'm sorry, fernandoandfreddyshow.wordpress.com. And the reason is because it's free. I don't pay for that website. But Fernando and Freddie
Can I tell you guys,
dot,
I didn't even know we had a blog till Fernando's like, you're not even reading our blog.
fernandoandfreddyshow.wordpress.com. And just go on there and you
WordPress.
can read my, entire little thing that I had written up about Uber.
Yeah.
And rideshare
Look for me in the
companies
comments because I'm gonna troll those comments so bad. Flame
All right,
war.
you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Hold
This has
on.
been another
I'm
episode.
gonna be like that cat typing.
Thanks for joining us, you guys. It's been another episode of Fernando and Freddie Show. And make sure you check us out, www.fernandoandfreddyshow.com. Takes you directly over to our YouTube page. Yeah, and don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe.
Comment and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.